In the last episode of the anime, we saw how Jinwoo defeated the Ant King after an intense battle, and if you want to continue and see what happens next, then you can check out my video where I covered that fight. The link is in the description. This video is a continuation of the story from where I left off in that video, so without wasting any time, let's begin. After canceling the shadow extraction of Byung-gyu, the Korean S-rank healer, all the hunters, including Jinwoo and the cameraman, began making their way out of the ant's nest. Dongwook carried the unconscious Cha-heen, while Yoonho held the lifeless body of Min Byung-gyu. A helicopter arrived at the scene to pick up the Korean hunters. A man spotted them from a distance and shouted that the hunters had returned, alerting the crew. One by one, the hunters boarded the helicopter. However, Jinwoo and Yoonho remained outside. Jinwoo informed Yoonho that he intended to stay behind. He had unfinished business to take care of. Yoonho understood, acknowledging that the raid was far from over. Jinwoo planned to clear the remaining ants and ensure the path was safe for everyone. He summoned his wyvern Kaizel and mounted him. Jinwoo assured Yoonho that they will meet again and then soared into the skies. Jinwoo flew over the island, hunting down any ants that had escaped his shadow soldiers. His mission was to exterminate every last one of them, ensuring the island was finally free of the deadly ants. Meanwhile, on a ship sailing across the ocean, the Japanese hunter Hoshino Minoru was visibly shaken, recounting the terror of the battle. He described the monster that had killed their leader, Goto-san, and how it had seemed impossible to defeat. The fear in his voice was evident as he declared that no hunter in the world could slay such a beast. Sugimoto, the vice guild master of the Blade Guild, tried to calm him down. He informed Minoru that the Jeju Island raid had already ended and that the beast had been defeated. Minoru was in disbelief, unable to comprehend that such a powerful creature could be defeated. Sugimoto recalled a conversation he had with Goto Ryuji before the raid, where they discussed a skilled hunter in South Korea named Sung Jinwoo. Despite Goto's confidence, Sugimoto realized that Jinwoo might be stronger than they had initially thought. As the ship continued its journey, one of the crew members reported that the ants on the island were dispersing. Sugimoto quickly ordered all units to prepare for battle, as there were still some ants left to be dealt with. The battleship sailed in formation, ready for action as they approached the island, prepared to confront the remaining ants. Back on Jeju Island, inside the ants' nest, the battle against the ants continued relentlessly. Jinwoo's mage-type shadow soldiers were engaged in an ongoing assault, blasting the remaining ants with fiery spells. They set ablaze the unhatched eggs, ensuring that no new threats would emerge from them. Jinwoo realized that he was gaining experience points even for destroying the unhatched eggs. This unexpected bonus brought a small sense of satisfaction. Jinwoo opened his inventory where his gaze fell upon the Demon King's longsword, a powerful weapon he had obtained as a reward for defeating the Demon King Baran in the Demon Castle. The sword, glowing with a blue light and sparking with electricity, had been stored away for some time. Jinwoo decided to put it to use. He casually swung the sword, unleashing a storm of blue lightning that raged across the battlefield, destroying the ant eggs with ease. Seeing how devastating the Demon King's longsword was, Jinwoo acknowledged that it would be a waste to keep such an item stored away. He decided to use it to eradicate the ants' eggs. The scene shifts to America, where inside the Federal Bureau of Hunters, Michael Connor, the assistant director, turned to the director, Mr. Brennan, asking for his opinion about Sung Jinwoo. Mr. Brennan, who had been engrossed in the video, glanced at the clock and realized it was well past 4 in the morning, yet the events in the video had kept him fully engaged. He replied that Michael already knew the answer, and that's why he had come to him at such an ungodly hour. Michael Connor expressed his thoughts. A hunter with the ability to summon and command over 100 beasts was truly unique. He believed that such talent was too valuable to remain confined in a small country like South Korea. The potential of Sung Jinwoo was undeniable. Mr. Brennan agreed with Michael's assessment. The power and capabilities that Jinwoo demonstrated were extraordinary. Brennan asked if there was more information about Jinwoo, to which Michael responded by presenting a file. The file contained details about an earlier incident at the Bureau, known as the Sung Il-hwan incident. Sung Il-hwan, who had been captured alive inside an A-rank gate on the East Coast by an A-rank hunter named James, was initially believed to be either a human or a magic beast. However, he had claimed to be a hunter from South Korea. What was even more surprising was that Sung Il-hwan was actually Sung Jinwoo's father. This revelation presented a perfect opportunity for the Bureau. As of now, no other country had any significant knowledge of Sung Jin-woo's name or his potential. The discussion then took a cautious turn as Mr. Brennan mentioned that South Korea had long been an ally of the United States, and attempting to take another S-rank hunter from them would be like a slap in the face. They couldn't afford to repeat the same mistake they made with Hwang Dong-soo. However, despite the risks, Michael acknowledged that Sung Jin-woo might be worth it. Brennan then looked at Michael with a serious expression and asked, "Can you really do it?" Michael, expressing his determination, said that he would give it his best shot. After spending a considerable amount of time dealing with the eggs, a notification finally appeared. Jinwoo had leveled up. He had reached level 100. Satisfied with his progress, Jinwoo returned the Demon Monarch's sword to his inventory and made his way to the Queen's chamber. There, he found the massive corpse of the Ant King still lying in the same spot where it had fallen. Standing before the Ant King's lifeless body, Jinwoo felt a sense of unease. The creature seemed unusually troubled, even in death. Jinwoo stretched his hand forward and attempted to extract its shadow. As he did so, he was instantly surrounded by darkness. For a brief moment, everything went black, and he found himself unable to feel anything. Jinwoo wondered if the extraction had failed, but the darkness soon lifted and light returned. The system notified that the shadow extraction was successful. Behind Jinwoo, the Ant King's shadow began to rise, cloaked in swirling dark energy, a manifestation of the creature's raw, untamed power. Jinwoo turned his face towards the emerging figure. The atmosphere grew heavy as shadows coiled around him, and he met the gaze of the powerful new soldier with calm authority. Now bound to Jinwoo's will, the Ant King's shadow stood as a fearsome addition to his ever-expanding army. As Jinwoo examined the newly created shadow, information about it appeared before him. It was at level 1, but what caught his attention was its rank, which is general rank. This was a new rank for Jinwoo, as he had only encountered standard, elite, knight, and elite knight ranks among his shadow soldiers so far. This made him believe that this shadow was significantly stronger than any of the soldiers he had extracted before, especially given the power the Ant King had possessed when it was alive. Jinwoo wasn't surprised by this outcome. Satisfied with the extraction, he turned his attention to the next target, the Queen Ant. But just as he was about to proceed, the shadow of the Ant King spoke to him, calling him "My King." The shadow, now kneeling on one knee with its head bowed, made a request. It asked Jinwoo to bestow a name upon him. Jinwoo reflected on the unconditional loyalty his other shadow soldiers had always shown him and noticed that this new shadow possessed the same trait. He couldn't help but wonder how the Ant King's shadow was able to speak. When he asked, the shadow simply responded that it had always possessed the ability to speak. Jinwoo thought to himself that the shadow's ability to speak likely stemmed from the fact that it had been capable of communication before becoming one of his soldiers. However, this was not the case with his other soldiers, such as Iron, Min Byung-gyu, and Tusk, who had all lost their ability to speak after being turned into shadows. Jinwoo realized that the key difference between them and the Ant King's shadow might be their rank. He speculated that perhaps the ability to speak would return to his other soldiers once they reached a higher rank. Jinwoo questioned the shadow ant further, asking if it truly wished to follow him despite the fact that he was the one who had killed it. The shadow ant explained that it didn't consider itself to have been killed by Jinwoo, but rather reborn through his powers. The shadow expressed immense happiness at this rebirth and vowed to follow Jinwoo for the rest of eternity, addressing him as both master and king. It then once again requested a name. Jinwoo realized that giving this shadow a simple name like ant or bug would be inadequate. He wanted to choose a name that would set this shadow apart from the other ants. A name suddenly came to Jinwoo's mind: Beru, the name of an author who had written a novel titled The Ants. It seemed fitting, and so he bestowed this name upon the shadow. After receiving the name, Beru expressed deep gratitude toward Jinwoo, acknowledging him as master. Jinwoo then decided it was time to extract the Ant Queen's shadow. He approached the Queen's corpse and performed the shadow extraction with the command, "Arise." The Queen's shadow emerged, an enormous beast identical to the Queen when she was alive. But just after that, Jinwoo suddenly noticed something strange. As soon as the Queen's shadow was created, he sensed a weakening in the connections between himself and his shadow ant soldiers. This sudden change which puzzled him. Jinwoo turned to Beru and asked why his bond with the shadow ants had weakened. Beru explained that the queen possessed an inherent power to rule over her colony. As long as the queen's shadow was alive, she retained the right to command the ants, even those who had been turned into Jinwoo's shadow soldiers. Jinwoo then asked Beru about the queen's mana levels, which seemed surprisingly low considering her rank. Beru explained that the queen's mana had primarily been used for reproduction when she was alive. Now that she no longer had a physical body, her mana had decreased, making her unsuitable for battle. After considering all the information, Jinwoo realized that the queen's shadow wouldn't be of much use to him. He saw no reason to keep 2 commanders in his shadow army. He gave the command to terminate the extraction, and the queen's shadow dissipated into smoke, vanishing into the air. Jinwoo then addressed his shadow soldiers, instructing them not to collect the essence stones scattered on the ground. He reminded them that all the essence stones would be used to reconstruct Jeju Island's infrastructure and compensate for the damage caused by the ants. There was no need for them to keep any of the stones for themselves. Afterward, Jinwoo removed the gem from Beru's corpse. The essence stone was a beautiful pitch-black gem. Jinwoo decided that this one essence stone would be enough for him. His thoughts then turned to the remaining ants. Jinwoo knew that many were still left on the island and wondered if he would be able to eliminate them with the soldiers he had right now. While he was thinking, Beru spoke up, informing him that their enemies were struggling in the skies due to the lack of a leader. Without one, the ants were unable to maintain their formation and were scattering in confusion. Jinwoo asked Beru if he knew how many ants were left. Beru replied that there had been 8,700 ants before the attack, and approximately 4,000 had survived. Jinwoo was surprised, as he had believed he had taken down a significant number during the earlier battle, but there still seemed to be quite a few remaining. Finally, Jinwoo asked Beru if he could wipe out the remaining ants on his own. Beru responded with utmost confidence, stating that he would follow Jinwoo's order without hesitation. In the midst of the ocean, the hunters aboard the battleships prepared for the oncoming threat. Jong-soo, the leader of the Knights Guild, alerted everyone about the incoming ants. The battleship's artillery began firing at full capacity as the ants approached. The sky was filled with massive explosions. Mage hunters on board joined forces, hurling their spells toward the ants. The sky lit up with bright flash caused by a massive explosion. Despite the relentless assault, the ants continued their advance, heading northbound toward the Knights Guild. Sun Ki-hoon, the leader of the Hunters Guild squad, quickly issued commands to his guild members, urging them to prepare for battle as the ants closed in. The Fame Guild hunters also received their orders to destroy every ant in sight. Driven by a strong desire to reclaim their honor and glory, the Hunters of Fame Guild steeled themselves for the fight, knowing that a single ant was as strong as a B-rank hunter. Amidst the tension, Minsung, an A-rank hunter, was trembling with fear. His anxiety was palpable, and another hunter nearby couldn't help but notice, thinking to himself that despite Minsung's rank, he was a pathetic loser. The swarm of ants nearly reached the coast, their countless numbers filling the horizon. Juhi was struck with fear as she realized the ants had already reached the shores of Haeundae. She questioned whether they were strong enough to face such a powerful enemy. As the ants closed in rapidly, Sung Cheol noticed just how fast they were approaching. They were now only an arm's length away, but just as the ants were about to strike, a blue streak of light flashed through the sky. It moved with incredible speed, tearing through the ants mid-air and leaving them destroyed. Juhi and Cheol were both stunned by the sight. Juhi wondered what could have caused such a powerful strike, while Cheol marveled at the speed of the attack, unable to comprehend what he had just witnessed. The mysterious blue streak was none other than Beru, who was moving at immense speed, blasting through the horde of ants with deadly precision as he flew in the sky like an unstoppable force while carrying Jinwoo orders.